Thanks for joining the Real Mom Gang podcast, where 4 new moms bonded over their obsession with baby classes and keeping it real. Here's your hosts, Amanda, Chantel, Jenna, and Lauren. Thanks for joining the Real Mom Gang for part 2 of our special episode with guest Stephanie Henderson.
Ended up getting injured anyways, but that was my rib, completely unrelated to the workout program. So I chose the route of working with a trainer. We had a progressive program. There were multiple phases. It was stuff that I could do at home, which was important for me because, quite honestly, like up until now, she wasn't really that great going with other people. Like I couldn't leave her anywhere, and she wouldn't take a ball. So something that I could do at home was pretty important. So my results are probably maybe a little more extreme than what the average person's would be, but if I could offer any kind of advice or tips for someone wanting to start to get back into a routine, I would say definitely start small. I started, even when I was working with my trainer, with 3 days a week. The goal was to do something for about 20 minutes 3 days a week, whether that was, if you want to do it free, you could go on YouTube and type in 5-minute arms, 10-minute lower body, or something like that, and there would be something that you could do. And in the first couple weeks, like even doing something 3 times was like not happening. Like it took a while. And be patient with yourself. I previously was one of those people that as soon as it became inconvenient, I would quit. I'd be like, no, it's not for me. Like I can't do home workouts. Yeah, like they don't work for me. I don't have the motivation. But like obviously I was just making excuses. So definitely, start small. Pick like a couple days a week. And then if you have a young baby, I would start with a certain time of day. So I always started with her first nap of the day. And then if it was a short nap and I didn't get anything done, cool. Then I would try to do a little bit more at her next nap. And if that was a write-off, then great. Maybe once my husband got home, I'd try and squeeze in 10 minutes. Then at least I had kind of all day to try to fit it in. Now,
if it didn't work that day, maybe the next day you can like switch your days up. So like, if you were planning to do it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then Monday didn't work, well then try Tuesday or Thursday or whatever to get those days in.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it wasn't as much about getting everything in, like all the exercises consecutively. It was more just get it done that day, because I was one of those people that needed the proof for myself that I can, do that when it's inconvenient, do it when I'm tired, do it when Olivia was grumpy or when a nap didn't happen. And now it's a lot easier to talk myself out of skipping a workout because I'll be like, oh, I'm kind of tired today. And it's like, but you don't have to go 110%. You can do 50 and still
start
get
with 5 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, and just like build that habit of moving. And it took a while, like probably a month of consistently making that time a few times a week before it became easier. And now it's fine, but it took like effort and consistency to make it.
And that's the real thing, is breaking that cycle of making an excuse like, well, I just had a baby, or she's not sleeping, or I'll just do it later.
I have to either be like a part of a class, so I'm like held accountable for like, okay, I paid for this, I need to go to it, or I need to have someone that like pushes me to do it, like a friend. Like I need to have like a workout partner where like if you're doing a home workout, that person, you're like, I don't want to look bad in front of this person, I better keep going.
Right.
Yeah. So I actually joined one of Stephanie's upcoming programs, and it's gonna be the Mom and Baby Bar.
Yeah.
And I've never done it before, but I know signing up for it, paying for it, especially on mat leave, I better show up and I better do it, because otherwise it's a waste.
Exactly.
Right? So like for me too, like even having a gym membership, I need to go to the actual classes because if I just go and I'm like, I'm gonna walk on the treadmill for a while, maybe half the things I don't even know how to do, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to use half.
Well, and if you just have a membership, you can go at any time.
Yeah,
but
after 10 minutes, I'd be like, And then also, too, if it's not a scheduled class, I'd be like, oh, maybe I'll go in like a couple hours and then just never go. And never use it. I remember when I was younger, I joined a gym membership when I could afford it. And this was like 18, fresh out of school, going to college, living on my own, paying my rent, somehow trying to make that work. Joined the gym for like, I don't know how much it was at the time, but they were expensive gym memberships, like $1,000 for the year or something like that. Never went.
I'm the
Never
worst
went
for that.
once. I have no idea. Like, it was such a waste. So now I'm like, if I'm doing something, I'm going to show up for it and, like, actually get my money's worth.
That's good.
Yeah. That was honestly the hardest part, was talking myself into just doing it when I didn't feel like it. And it's definitely something now that I'm glad I did, because now,
well, you're seeing the
you
results.
Have the results.
Well, I have the results, but I also can't make the excuses anymore.
Yeah.
And so that's nice, but for anyone who's having troubles with that, I would literally like delete social media apps off of my phone. I would go, I have everything kind of set up upstairs. I'd pull everything out the night before that I was planning on using, whether it was like bands or maybe a couple light weights or something. Have like my, laptop there. Whatever, shoes. Like if you're going to do a video, have a computer or some kind of device there. Maybe even with the video tagged up so that you can just hit play. And then as soon as I would lay her down, I would just go and start before I could talk myself out of it.
Yeah.
But
have everything prepared.
Yeah, because there's also been times when I've been like, I'm just going to scroll for like 10 minutes through Instagram, and then I'll go upstairs. And then 10 minutes goes by, and it's like, I'm just going to unstack the dishwasher, scroll for another 20 minutes, and like next thing you know, the baby's awake, and it's like, damn it,
you're
like that was my time. Yeah.
One thing that I used to do, not right now because I'm not doing anything, but was say like, just do 10 minutes, Jenna. Like you can do 10 minutes. And then you go and you do 10 minutes, and then you're like, God, you can do another 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then
once you're getting yourself there.
Yeah.
I used to go to the gym 5 days a week and loved it. Like I would actually, it would bother me if I didn't go to the gym because I loved it so much. And then got pregnant and everything happened. And now just last week I got a membership and I've gone 6 days out of 7 this week just because I find I'm getting my groove back, and it makes me feel better about myself. I have more energy. I'm in a better mood. Yeah, I don't feel like just lounging out.
Well, and so many times as soon as you start to feel physically stronger again, your mental game goes up like 20%.
Yeah.
200%. Whatever. But
put on a pair of jeans, you don't feel as bloated. You're like, okay, this is...
Makes you want to eat better.
Yeah, it does. I feel like I have to see Insta results or I lose the motivation. I'm like, I didn't lose 5 pounds in a week. So I'm done. I haven't
But I find that the working out, whether it's in the gym or at home, it makes you eat better, because every time you're doing that physical activity, you're looking at the calories you're burning. You're like, okay, that kicked my ass, and I just burnt off that bagel I had, or you know what I mean? It really makes you think what you're putting in your mouth before you put it in your mouth. So I find it goes hand in hand.
Doesn't stop me.
Speaking of food, Stephanie, what do you do for meal planning, or what does your kind of food look like when you're trying to get your shit together?
So I find, in general, and I did a lot of this before I even got pregnant, but I find that meal prepping once or sometimes twice a week saves me way more time than that dance. How many of you would get home after work and be like, what do you want to have for supper tonight? I don't know. What do you want to have for supper tonight?
I don't know. Let's
just order it.
Yeah, and then this process takes, and so by the time you actually cook and eat something or order something in and it gets there, you've wasted
so much time.
However much time. So I find it works best for us if on the weekend at some point we can kind of decide what are 3 dinners that we want to have for the week, and then so say we're doing stir fry, meatballs and whatever, then I'll make the meatballs and just do the sauce on the day. For stir fry, I would chop up all the veggies ahead of time, maybe even cook up the chicken.
Yeah.
And so it just needs to be warmed up together with all the sauces on it.
Yeah.
And do that kind of thing. Or like if we're doing pasta and meat sauce, make like a bigger batch and then portion it out so that we can freeze some and have some for the week. And I find that having something that we can just like eat and then get on with our day makes life so much easier. Now that I'm home, I'll even do that for like my lunches and snacks. I eat all kinds of meat, but I also like tofu. So I'll make up like a tofu scramble and then portion it up into 5 servings, and then I'll have like one of those each day of the week with maybe like avocado toast or soup or whatever.
Yeah.
And then for snacks, I'm a huge fan of just like apples and peanut butter or whatever. I'm lactose intolerant, so I can't do like cheese and crackers. But yeah, like veggies and hummus or any of that kind of thing. Yeah, peanut butter in general is always a good idea. But I totally find that at least prepping for the week, if not the next few days, makes a huge difference for me.
Yeah.
If I know that my morning is going to be busy and I might not have time to do like a proper breakfast, sometimes I'll whip up the night before these gigantic pancakes, and I'll do like egg whites, Greek yogurt, oats, sometimes like a banana or something, maybe a little bit of like hemp hearts or whatever, mix it all together, fry it as a pancake, and then either freeze it or just put it in the fridge, and then I can just take that on the go with me. It's easy to eat in the car. It's easy to eat.
Slather some peanut butter
wherever.
on it or something.
Yeah. So I find that if I'm going to be on the go, then I'll try and have more things like that.
Yeah. Did you make those energy ball things ever?
Yeah.
Yeah, like those two.
Yeah, protein balls, energy balls.
Sometimes they get dangerous though because they taste so good.
Yeah, I know.
You just
eat like 15 of them.
Yeah.
You're craving something sweet though, and you're like,
they're great for that.
Yeah, and you're like, okay,
better than
that like cuts the craving.
I saw
you
on
have one of those, you're happy.
I saw on Pinterest, because Jenna gave me the recipe, and it, like the one that you gave me is like with nuts, chocolate chips, a coconut, whatever.
Yeah.
But on Pinterest, there's so many different ones, like carrot cake ones.
Pumpkin
Yes,
pie.
I had the
bread.
carrot
Pumpkin
cake
pie.
one. It's amazing.
Okay, I've been wanting to do those ones. I was going to do them this weekend.
And they're easy.
Yeah, so easy.
That's the
Yeah.
Yeah, easy to
Yeah. Yeah. Food. Food.
I know, now I'm like,
What's your guilty pleasure, Stephanie?
my guilty pleasure is, so because I'm lactose intolerant, it's ice cream and chocolate chips, but the ice cream is, it's like a lactose-free coconut version. It's like a vanilla flavored coconut ice cream.
Yeah.
With
Is it
just
the
like
So Good one?
no, it's I think it's called like vanilla bliss or
okay.
something. Or coconut bliss.
Oh yeah, coconut blend.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Something like that. It is like $9 for like a little tiny thing.
But it's worth it.
It is so worth it.
Do you ever
I
make
find
nice cream?
No.
It's essentially just frozen bananas. Do you like banana? You have to like banana.
Yeah.
Frozen bananas and I think like coconut milk or almond milk or whatever. And then you can add in like, you could also add strawberries. You could add cocoa powder.
Yeah, I've heard of this.
I ate it a ton during my pregnancy because I was diabetic.
Yeah.
So I couldn't have the good blizzards and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's so
Don't worry, Chantal and I
easy.
have that.
I would put like peanut butter, like natural peanut butter in it. Like
that's
it's so easy and you can just eat it guilt free.
I'm definitely
We'll
going
have
to
to
try
try
that.
that for sure. Yeah.
It's really good. And you can get those recipes on like Pinterest. Just Google nice cream.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you can make, there's a ton of varieties.
Yeah.
Like, if you go on Pinterest and it's same thing. They're like different
Are they
flavors
delicious?
and
Delicious.
Okay,
Yeah.
I should just start eating ice cream every day.
Yeah, every day. You can have it every day. It's like, or
and
another
the babies
one.
can have it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one for like a guilt-free treat that I would make was the mug cakes. So it's 1 egg.
Yeah.
So in a coffee mug, 1 egg. I think it was like 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, and then you could do like some cocoa powder, some like I always had really dark chocolate on hand as my like treat.
Yeah.
Break up some of that in there, and then you nuke it for like a minute, and it makes a freaking
With
cake.
no like flour, nothing.
Yeah, Google Pinterest.
Egg cake.
Yeah, but if you put enough things in it, like the peanut butter and stuff like that, it doesn't taste eggy. It tastes a little eggy, but like not enough to like.
It's like a peanut butter omelet.
Yeah, I even make them. I make them camping all the time, like as like a treat. Yeah. It's so good. It even rises. It ends up being the whole size of the mug. Like it's unreal.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's so good. And then
why
you
don't
could
you
drizzle
have like that with a bit of nice cream on top?
Oh,
done it.
Done it.
It's so good. Yeah, I used to like because I was allowed to snack before bed, and then the snack was important for like my fasting numbers.
Yeah.
Before I started the insulin, but that was one of like my go-tos because like it was just
quick,
an egg,
easy,
natural peanut butter, and like some whatever thing. And if you didn't have diabetes, you could also drizzle a tiny bit of maple syrup or something little like that for a little bit of sweetness. But I think I would put Truvia in it too, which was like the sweetener that I could have.
Yeah.
It was really, really good. Now I need to make one.
I know.
I need to get home so I can make all these things. Now, totally switching kind of topics here is like being a new mom, and being married and having a new baby. Like they take up so much of our time. What are you and your husband doing to kind of keep the romance alive, keep the connection?
Besides the pole dancing.
Yeah. And the thong.
And the thong, yeah.
We actually started this, I want to say in like 2016, where we did a weekly date night.
I love that idea.
And now after having a baby, it's gotten creative. We don't really leave the house a lot of the times, and it's just at home. And lately we've been getting a little lazy with it. But what we like to do is like either order dinner in or cook something nice together and then just hang out and chat for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe watch a movie. But just spend that quality one-on-one time.
Yeah.
It's getting a little bit easier now that she's going to bed a little bit earlier. There were definitely times when, I don't know, you guys probably had this when the babies were younger too, where you like put them to bed and then half an hour later you have to go back in there, or like 20 minutes after that they're hungry again, and then it's like they poop or something, so you have to go change a diaper, and so it definitely cut into the evening, but we're getting a little bit more intentional about that now.
Yeah.
And she's dabbling with bottles, so she's.
Yeah. And I find like making sure like you disconnect from like your phones or like
exactly,
and be check in and like have conversations. Like I can't remember if it was my baby class. Somewhere someone mentioned, maybe it was the midwives, like check in with your husbands, like make sure they're okay too, and like
we learned that in baby class.
Like you kind of forget, like even though they didn't have the baby, they don't do as much work with the baby as we do at this point. A lot is changing for them. So like I think Jordan thinks I'm weird sometimes, but sometimes I'm like, how are you doing? Like, and he doesn't usually engage that. Like I'm good, but like I'm really trying to like how are you doing? Like, are you okay? Are we okay? Like, are you missing something? Like, can I be doing something for you right now?
He's like, I'm missing a blowjob every day. Like, no.
Make me a sandwich.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like, what's the coolest thing? Like, I don't actually know a lot about your husband.
Yeah.
But what's the neatest thing you've seen about him becoming a dad?
He is definitely one of those people where he doesn't always show a lot of emotion. And so it's been so fun seeing his face light up when he gets home and Olivia's so happy to see him. Or even just like, and neither of us are morning people, but on weekend mornings, sometimes after I've fed her, I'll just bring her in the bed with us and just like to see her interact with him too. And
especially as they're getting older,
she
like
just
this age.
loves her dad and he loves her too, and it's just the most incredible thing to see. Like, I don't know. They say you love your partner, but like seeing how he loves her too is just
makes you love them more. You're like, oh my god, okay.
And I find like at this age, I'm enjoying this age probably the most so far.
Yeah.
And I think he is too, because I mean, they're just a little bit more interactive. They light up a lot more now when their dads come around, I find.
Yeah.
And, like, it's just such a cool.
Just you and the boob.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
or the
all
bottle
they care.
or whatever. Yeah.
Bottle,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I can actually hold her and like play with her and like
make her smile.
like laugh and giggle, and you can tickle them and
Yeah.
It's just
You
a
know,
lot more
kind of
interactive.
bounce them
a lot more
and
fun.
throw them up in the air. And
Yeah,
do
and
all
they're
that kind of
like
stuff.
starting to sit up or starting to crawl. It's like, whoa, it's so cool to watch. Like, what would you say, you know, as a new first-time mom, what would be the best advice you could have given to yourself?
I would say, and like I actually did a pretty good job of this, but my husband and I had a chat before we even had her, and I said my expectations of myself for the first like 2 to 3 months of her life are to shower occasionally,
Yeah.
like get some sleep, keep the tiny human alive, repeat.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if anyone is expecting lots of visits or me to cook a meal or housework or whatever, like they're gonna be
disappointed,
greatly disappointed. And I don't even, but it's like it was one of those things where I knew going into it, and I'm quite a bit of an introvert actually. Like if I'm comfortable with people, if I know people, then I'll talk their faces off. But if I don't, then forget it. And especially after there's been a really big event or there's something about birth that it made me feel like I really wanted to do a lot of reflection and like kind of have that time to draw inward and just like absorb everything that just happened.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I found that so much happened in such a short period of time that you almost like it takes a while to kind of recount the steps of what actually went down.
Yeah.
And,
you still can't fully piece it all together.
I don't think you can, but I definitely wanted that quiet time after having her to just kind of ease into this new role, ease into this new family, ease into our new partnership.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that I don't know, kind of laid that out for myself ahead of time so that if somebody did come over and there was shit all over the floor and laundry piled up and whatever, I'm like,
That's fine. This is how it's going.
Yeah,
like,
like
you gotta
I
give
didn't
yourself
care.
some grace.
Well, that and it was
I'm like, the first time someone comes to my house, I try to make it really clean so they can see the potential. And then every time after that, it's a shit show. It's like, you've seen it. You've seen its potential. Now this is what it is.
Now this is the norm.
Yeah. Well, and it was kind of one of those things where I'm like, honestly, if somebody's even going to say anything or judge me for that,
You don't want them there anyways.
I don't want them, I don't want them part of my life. I don't want them in my house.
The last person to judge that would be another mom.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
It actually might make someone feel better, like to come in and see that
like,
you don't have it all together. It's like, fuck, thank God.
Yeah, that's what my house looks like too.
Yeah. And then they know that when you come over, they can be a lot more relaxed about it.
Yeah, for sure. So, definitely give yourself some grace. Set your expectations super low. Spend that time, like, bond with your baby. Figure out breastfeeding if you're doing that. Spend a little bit of time with your husband. Just take it easy.
Yeah.
Don't rush to anything, really.
Yeah, and don't have too high of expectations.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, I thought I had, I thought I was going to be up and at her and, doing all these things.
Well, you also
after.
thought you were going to have a home birth. So how did you process all of that? That's actually like a big thing. Like I know, I'm not sure how you set yourself up for your home birth, but I know I made a birth plan.
Yeah.
But even in the birth plan, there was a lot of like, if this can happen, we'd like to do this.
Yeah.
If this is safe for us, we'd like to do this. But at the end of the day, I expected it all to go wrong. But I know a lot of people set themselves up like, this is how it's gonna happen to a T. And then when it doesn't, birth
trauma is a real
trauma.
thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So for us, I definitely had my heart set on a home birth. My husband was on board with it after a while.
Yeah.
And we had planned for that, but from the very beginning, we were asking the midwives, like, okay, so what are, some of the reasons that you would recommend a transfer to the hospital? Or like, out of the people that get a transfer to the hospital, like how much of it is an actual emergency? How much of it is voluntary? Like how much time do you leave? What if traffic is really busy? Like when do you make the call on whether we go in an ambulance or drive?
Right.
That kind of thing. So we kind of had talked through all of that ahead of time, and it was we had kind of put some thought into if we birth at home, then this is what we'd like to happen. If we have to go to the hospital, then this is kind of what we prefer. And if we have a C-section, then whatever. And my only thing with a cesarean was that I didn't want to be left alone. And I had heard, one of my cousins actually had a cesarean birth, and while they prep you, your partner's not allowed to be in the room.
Oh.
And the nice thing about having a midwife is that she could be in there with me.
Okay.
And so my midwife was with me until my husband could come in, and then my husband was in, and the midwife actually stayed in the OR with us. So she took pictures. We have like some awesome pictures from.
So cool.
Yeah, and it was just like, I don't know. It honestly was best case scenario. Like it, if you could call it a warm fuzzy feeling in the OR, it definitely was. Like everyone knew that wasn't the plan. They knew that wasn't our wishes. They knew that it was not what we had hoped for. Mm-hmm. They also knew that we didn't know what we were having for gender.
Oh, so you didn't?
We didn't. Oh. And so when they got her out, and it was funny because I had asked the midwife, like, hey, how many minutes from like the time they start to the time the baby comes out? She's like, usually like under 9. I'm like, okay. And it felt like my husband and I had exchanged like 2 sentences, and all of a sudden we heard a cry, and we're like, oh, there must be a baby next door. And it's like, wait, no, like that's our baby. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
And so they brought her actually around the curtain with her butt facing us.
Oh.
Like, look what you had. But when they come out, regardless, like they're so swollen.
Yeah.
So,
We're like, is that, are those balls?
Yeah. And we were both quite surprised that we had a girl actually. But it was one of those things where I didn't necessarily have a hard set plan, like it has to happen this way.
More wishes. Like.
It was definitely more wishes for sure. And I think having the midwife be with us through the entire thing was helpful. That we didn't, I don't know, it was that familiar presence of someone who had been there before.
Yeah.
And so I think I felt a little bit more confident because of that.
Yeah. Excellent. That's good. That's really good advice. Is like, don't, have your wishes, but don't be set on them. And it's amazing though, actually. And I don't know if the people are just too stubborn or if their professionals that they're meeting with aren't being clear enough to them. But I think the birth trauma, a lot of it comes from just being too set on what you want and not like.
And being blindsided.
Yeah. And like, I'm not sure how that happens. Like people, professionals need to, I think, be more forceful and clear that, listen, just because you want this to happen, like we got to have a plan of what if that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Well, and people,
things very, very rarely go according to plan.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
Nobody who I've talked to is like, yeah, the birth went exactly how I thought it was going to. I've never heard anybody say that.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah.
And I think some people too kind of go into it with ignorance is bliss. Like, oh, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Educate yourself.
Yeah.
Empower yourself. Know what your options are. Know what some of the potential things that could come up are so that you aren't blindsided.
Yeah. Or if you don't want to know, just make sure that you're still open to whatever the hell happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, we want to thank you so much for coming. I think we could talk to you forever. This is the longest podcast we've ever done. We're just about at an hour. So is there anything else you wanted to add to the listeners or to us, or anything else you wanted to get out before we end? Or
I don't think so. If any of you are in the Airdrie or Calgary area, you can find me teaching some bar and yoga classes at Orange Fitness here in Airdrie. 2 of them are mom and baby classes. One of them is just a regular class that anyone can come to.
Awesome.
So you can find that information on either their website or their app.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being such an awesome guest. And anything you girls wanted to add?
I don't think so. Setting the bar high for 2020.
I know. You're gonna have to come on again. Well, thanks for listening. You can follow us on Instagram at The Real Mom Gang. Listen to us on any podcast provider. Again, I don't need to tell you that because you're already listening to us. And follow us on Facebook at The Real Mom Gang, and The Mom Gang out.